Hey guys, thanks for checking out my show MOLECAST. It's a show I do every Monday night at 9 p.m. Eastern over on my Twitch channel. So if you want to catch it live, make sure to head on over there and drop me a follow. Thanks for your support. Now let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome to MOLECAST, a podcast about World of Warcraft, content creation, and everything in between. Tonight we are joined by EIYA. Thank you for coming on the show, EIYA.
No worries. Happy to be here.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to have you on the show because tonight we're going to be talking about a couple different things. The first of which is kind of your history with gaming and content creation, and hear a lot about how you got where you are, and then also talk specifically about esports and some of your experience in being an esports host and commentator and caster. I'm not sure what the proper terminology is there. Do you have like an official title? Or does it kind of change?
I in my Twitter bio, I have sideline reporter and host. So those have been the roles that I've been primarily jumping back and forth between. So
Okay.
Commentator, I guess, would be like a good overall term, maybe. But
Yeah.
caster, I am not a caster.
Okay. Caster is like the play-by-play, right? Is that like the
Yeah.
distinction there? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So the guys and girls who can talk really fast and memorize all of the spells and all that stuff, right?
Like I could talk really fast, but I'm not gonna say anything like smart about the game. So
Yeah. I'm hearing in chat TikTok queen. Is that accurate?
I mean, yeah, like that's Anna. That's my friend Anna. I do make a lot of TikToks, yeah. So
Okay. Cool.
Thank you for the compliment.
Yeah. So we'll be talking a lot about the esports and the commentator, host side of things, as well as jumping in probably at the end if we have some time. We'll talk a lot about being a girl in the gaming scene and what that experience is like. Probably a lot of the positives as well as the negatives from that, and just have a serious conversation about, maybe ways as gamers how we can try and help promote a good culture and a good place where everyone is welcomed and appreciated. So, we'll probably get into some of that later on in the show too. So, well, let's just like jump right in. I want to hear from you about like your history as a gamer. Like how'd you get into gaming? How'd you get into streaming on Twitch? Like, let's just start with that.
So my first real video game I would say was Unreal Tournament when I was like 9.
Wow. Yeah.
Which may have been a little early. I never owned a console. My dad had a computer store, and I was given a laptop that a customer like abandoned. So I played Unreal Tournament, Sims, Second Life, Toontown were some of my earlier games, and then I eventually moved into World of Warcraft in 2007 because my dad brought it home in like the 4 packs of like the CDs. Do you remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Where you could have like, it was like 4 different CDs, and my brother and I started playing, and yeah, and so it's been mostly World of Warcraft would be my main game for the last like decade basically. And then I started streaming in Mists of Pandaria in 2013, literally because my guild was talking about Twitch. I didn't know what it was at the time, and I just I logged on, I made an account. I was like, I think I saw Soda Pop in streaming, and I was like, that looks like fun. I kind of want to try it. And I had a MacBook at the time, and it was not, I don't know if you've ever tried to stream on a MacBook.
No,
but
it sounds terrible though.
You need, like, still to this day, I don't think you can just install OBS and start streaming. I think you need a couple different programs to get audio and stuff working.
Okay.
But back then, OBS wasn't compatible with Mac, and I needed like 5 different programs to get sound working, and like my desktop streamed, and it was a nightmare, and my stream was constantly crashing. But yeah, those are my beginnings.
Okay. I mean, Unreal Tournament is like old school. Like that's like way back. I remember that for sure.
Yeah, so my dad's played like Quake and Unreal Tournament and stuff.
That's super cool though.
So yeah, it's been a real gift to have parents that are, or at least my dad is a gamer, has a history of that. So it hasn't been much of like a, I hear some of my friends' stories in the esports industry and how their parents haven't been quite as supportive. So it's been good to have parents that are understanding and kind of part of the culture, at least used to be. So
Yeah, and they like relate a lot with that. I mean, that was like that was kind of similar to my experience as well. My
Hmm.
mom was a computer teacher, and she would load these games. Like I remember
Yeah.
playing like DOS games for one,
Right.
and then like Jetpack, and then as things progressed, we moved into like Commander Keen and Chex Quest and stuff. Like that was my
Oh.
experience growing up gaming as well. So that's pretty cool.
Mhm. Yeah, we had a game. I know there was like a math learning game in my computer lab in like fourth grade, and to save your progress, you had to have a floppy disk. And I was the only one that thought to bring a floppy disk to class, and I got way further than anybody else in my entire school, and people would always watch me play. I don't remember what it was called. Something to do with math and snowballs. Maybe somebody from chat knows, but
Yeah,
yeah.
dude, those old school floppy disks though. Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah. I would
So
carry it with me in my backpack.
that's
But
very cool. Well, I
mhm.
mean, that's great though. I mean, that's kind of interesting that you mentioned about how that would be an interesting study, is to find out like how many gamers actually have parents who helped, encourage
Mhm.
that interest. So, when I go all the way back, my history was like my parents would only let us. We didn't actually own a console, but we would go to
Mhm.
the local grocery store where we would rent like a Super Nintendo or a Sega, and we would get like one or two games for a weekend. And then we would
Okay.
just play like 12 hours. My brother and I would just no life like 12 hours every single day for the entire weekend. And then they would return the console, and like that was like a special thing they would do for us, if we were good or whatever. But
Smart. I
yeah,
never did. My brother had a console, but I don't know. I always stuck to PC games.
yeah,
So I wasn't allowed to play his Xbox. He
yeah,
didn't really like it.
yeah. So you didn't start playing WoW until Miss of Pandaria, huh?
No, I started playing in 2007. When I
Oh,
started
okay.
streaming was Miss of Pandaria.
Oh,
Yeah.
gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
So you like started out. That's like 2007 was.
That
That's
it
like
was
BC
like
then, huh?
yeah, it was like 2 months into BC.
Okay.
My cat's awake now. Here. He wants to
Aw.
hello.
What's this
Yeah.
dude's name?
His name's Copper.
Copper. Okay.
Yeah, we just got him in like a month ago. He's still
Gotcha.
kitten.
Sorry
Little
about the
baby boy.
quality of the video and for you guys in chat
No.
too.
Yeah,
For
what's up
whatever
with that,
reason,
man?
my Discord is like really weird, and I think my wife is streaming upstairs. I think she's like watching Netflix or
Oh.
something upstairs. So for whatever reason, like my picture is fine because it uses my webcam, but then my
Right.
guests are like, it always is
Bad.
like, I think the connection or something. It should clear up here
Mm-hmm.
soon though. I could text her and be like, hey, watch Friends later, please. But anyway, um, okay, cool. I mean, that's kind of interesting though. Like most of the people I've been talking with have played, WoW for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
All the way back in BC. I didn't start until like Wrath of the Lich King, like late BC, early Wrath of the Lich
Mm-hmm.
King. So, but a lot of people that I've talked to that got into streaming started with Mists of Pandaria, and it seemed like that was a really good expansion that people kind of loved or
It's
hated.
the best expansion ever. I don't think I've ever met anyone that hated Mop.
I know, like that's so funny. Like a lot of people were like, I mean, we're like really against it when they announced it, and then it
Yeah.
seemed like a lot of people really loved it, especially if PvP, especially if you're into PvP. Like people talk
Mm-hmm.
about that, like it was the expansion. Like Mists
Yeah,
of
and
Pandaria and WoD, I think people just lift up there,
yeah, and I think from like a rating perspective, it was really good. I didn't raid back then, but I know challenge modes were really fun for people, and I don't know, it was simpler times.
Yeah. So how did you go from, how did the whole streaming thing work for you? What was your experience with that? Was it like pretty slow for a while? Like how did you find your niche and
Um,
build your community and become,
well,
who you are?
I would say yeah, it was slow for a really long time. I don't know what motivated me to keep going, to be honest with you. I had like an average of 4 to 5 viewers for a really long time, and I would just sit there and like talk to myself, basically, um, until someone came in and started talking in my chat, and I could actually talk to somebody.
Yeah.
But I would just talk about nothing, and and I streamed WoW for a good amount of time, and then I kind of quit WoW during WoD, and I started streaming DayZ and Call of Duty and H1Z1.
Okay.
And I got partnered in 2015, I think, when
Mm-hmm.
I was actually streaming DayZ. And then basically like a month after, I got partnered, I had to move. I had to go. I was taking community classes at the time, so I had a lot of extra time, and I was living alone. So I streamed in all my free time. I didn't really have any friends like in real life. And then when I transferred to university, I moved into a house with other people, and I had like a harder workload. So I quit streaming for a really long time, and I basically didn't pick it up again until like February of this year.
Oh, really?
So yeah. Yeah. There was a period of time after I graduated college where I kind of tried to sort of revitalize my stream, but I never really got back to the numbers that I used to see. So I and then I got hired in esports. So
Yeah.
I was busy with that anyways. I didn't think I'd ever really stream again. And then yeah, February is kind of when I started trying to build my stream up again.
Cool. I mean, that's crazy. That's like not that long ago. I would
No.
yeah, that's pretty wild. I mean, I know there's like everyone has their different journeys, you know, like so like a lot of people who stream for forever and never gain traction.
Yeah.
You know? It can be kind of a cutthroat thing for a lot of people.
Yeah, I definitely got really, really lucky for sure.
Yeah. I mean,
with Twitch.
I talk with a friend of mine at work about this a lot because he streams as well and has had some success. And we always talk about like, what is that thing that like helps people, you know, find success on Twitch? Now, you know, I'm not the best example of that. And I don't think anybody is really like the all knowing, like it's such a complex thing. Like, I don't think anyone's like this all knowing wizard. You know, some people are really smart and know a lot about marketing and analytics and all that stuff. Like, you know, Devin Nash and I always forget the guy on the Alpha Gaming Guru on YouTube. I can't remember what his name is.
I have no idea. I know like the Harris guy.
Yeah, that's
like
it.
A lot.
That's
What's
it.
Is that him?
Harris Heller or
Harris. So yeah, something like that.
Something like that. I think that's it. Harris. Yeah, he's the Alpha Gaming dude. Yeah, he talks a lot like, and it's great. I mean, it's great because I think a lot of the stuff they say is really smart, but it's just interesting because a lot of people, you know, take off and do really well, and there seems like people have niches, but it's also about like what games you stream. It's about like your personality. It's about what kind of content you're creating. Like, it's such like a wide, broad genre of stuff. It's not like one formula fits for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's interesting. So when you started streaming, did you say that you started streaming a lot because you were saying you didn't have any friends? Is that kind of accurate?
No, so I didn't have any friends like in real life, really. And I didn't really have any like hobbies besides skiing. So I basically, and the school that I went to at the time was like kind of catered towards adults with families and jobs and stuff. So sometimes some of my classes would be once a week and they'd be like 2 hours long. So I just kind of had a lot of free time. And I was already playing a lot of World of Warcraft, so I kind of just streamed it anyways. And I would just do a lot of Battlegrounds.
Yeah.
Basically, that was kind of my content back then. So yeah. But I did have a lot of friends online through World of Warcraft, but none in the town that I was living in.
So. Okay, I gotcha.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the reason I was bringing that up is because I feel like a lot of people that do start streaming look for it with a social kind of are looking for a social avenue in what they're doing, you know, like where, I mean, not, you know, like whether that's IRL friends or whatever, like a lot of people are wanting a place where they can meet new people and hang out and play games with new people, you know? So I don't know. I mean, I think that that's kind of in and of myself in terms of who I am. I think that that's an accurate representation of why people want to play WoW as well as why people want to game. You know, there is a social component to it, to meet new people, to engage with other people, and then to make friends and create friends. And I think that's a really vital component in gaming. So I don't know. I think a lot of people now have this extra element where it's like, not just are you creating friends in World of Warcraft, but you're also creating and in your guild, but also you're creating friends on Twitch and meeting other people who are streamers and becoming friends with them on Twitch as well.
Yeah, I mean, my entire friend group is currently like I still would say I don't really have any friends like IRL. I have people that I've met through gaming that I would now consider IRL friends, I guess, but like I don't really know anyone just randomly like in town that I would hit up for drinks or something. It's like all people I've met through gaming or through the gaming industry at this point. So yeah, the social aspect is huge for sure.
Yeah. So, how did you get into casting? Let's just jump into that and talk about some of that. So, you said you started casting in this year is like your first year jumping into that?
Yeah, so my first event in front of the camera was last year. It was for the AWC Spring Finals in 2019. I was a sideline reporter,
Okay.
but I'd actually been working in esports since 2016. So I'd been working behind the scenes in AWC as well as MDI for years up until that point. Um, uh, uh, Basically, I kind of heard through the grapevine they were looking for someone to do interviews with the players in the during the LAN events, and I kind of threw my name in the hat. I put together a little like audition tape, yeah, where I just did like a fake sort of segment talked about Method Orange and Method Black at the time was what they
Mm-hmm.
were called, and yeah, they liked it. They let me sort of try on camera. They let me have an event, and they decided that they wanted to work with me for more events. So now so now here I am now. Somehow the host of AWC currently, and I still am. I don't. I yeah. The what's it called? Imposter syndrome is huge. but,
Well, I've been
but yeah.
watching. I mean, I feel like you're doing an awesome job. I've been
Thank
watching
you. Thank
some of the
you.
broadcasts. So that's
Mhm.
really cool, though. So it literally was just like a, hey, we're looking for people, and you just threw something
Um,
together.
But yeah, I mean, it was a little harder than that. I did a lot of practicing. I did a lot of research. I spoke with a lot of people that I already knew in the industry of like, hey, does
Sure.
this sound good? Like, what should I work on? It was a lot of practicing, like my facial expressions and stuff, and eye contact with camera,
Mm-hmm.
and then I, submitted my tape, and they were considering other people as well. So it was a longer process than that, but essentially, yeah, that's kind of what happened. But I was already on the WoW esports team
Yeah.
as a contractor, so yeah.
Yeah. Having somewhat of a relationship there can be helpful and important.
Mhm. Mhm.
So the reason I'm a self-taught designer. So
Right.
like I feel like I really like this idea that, I mean, I don't know if this is an American idea or not, but I like this idea that like if you put your, work hard enough at something or are determined enough
Mhm.
at something, that most of the time you are going to be able to accomplish what you set out to do with enough determination. So I like that
Yeah.
idea just about like this self-taught story there. It's just like, hey, like this is something that you sought out to do. You put your mind to it and you were able to,
Mhm.
now you're finding and reaping reward from some of your hard work. So
Yeah, and it's funny, like I working in esports before I was doing any on talent or on camera stuff as like a talent. I don't feel like I never really felt like I was in love with my role. I loved esports and I loved being able to be a part of it, but I didn't really feel like my skills and my talent were being utilized very well, and I just never felt like in in place with my role. And I know that my first BlizzCon I ever went to in 2014, I met Healing Stat and Supatees and Elliot Venrique, and I was like, these guys are so amazing. They must love their job so much. It would be so much fun to do that. And I, I remember like dicking around with some of my friends, like fake casting in the hotel room, and just thinking how fun it would be to do. But I never really thought that I would actually ever get to do it. So yeah, it's just been an amazing journey for sure. Hi,
that's really
Connor.
cool. So, like, how many BlizzCons have you done? What's been some of your favorite events, and favorite
Um,
experiences so far?
BlizzCon for sure. That's always the highlight of my year. So I'm really, really sad that we're not having one this year. I've
Yeah.
been to every one since 2014. So I've went to 2014, 15 as like a viewer, and then I started working every one up until that point. But my favorite event I've ever been to, I think it would still be BlizzCon. BlizzCon's always so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every year tops the last one. So.
Yeah. It just always gets better.
Mhm. Yeah, and I got to be on stage at BlizzCon, which is like I mean, I keep saying it to you. I sound like a broken record, but it's just incredible. I still can't believe it. So
Yeah.
I cried a little bit before I went on. Like I was so excited.
So do you feel like your gifts, like in terms of who you are and your personality, I mean, do you feel like that when you talked about necessarily not feeling like you were utilizing your
Mhm.
abilities in a previous role that you were in, you know, do you feel like that's like your aspiration? Do you have other like future hopes for esports and for hosting and doing that? Like, do you
Mm,
have like a dream role if you could pick one out that you would do?
I mean, I love World of Warcraft. I love to be a part of WoW Esports.
Yeah.
It would be nice to branch out to other games as well while also being able to do a World of Warcraft. There's so much going on with WoW at the moment, though. It seems like there's no room in my schedule. I actually am doing a bit of Tier 2 Overwatch stuff on the side, which has been really nice.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I honestly, if you could have asked my dream role like a year ago, it would have been the host for AWC. So
Yeah. So you're living your dream right now.
I really am, dude. It's insane.
Yeah, that's crazy. So how has it been with the whole coronavirus stuff? Has it been weird?
um, yeah, weird, but so weird and good, like good and bad.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the people I work with. They're some of my favorite people in the world. It's something about a LAN is like just pure magic, like being with all the players and seeing the crowd. And I mean, I guess some of the lanes we don't have crowds, but so it's been kind of an adjustment as well, making all of the cups remote. The whole WoW production team is just doing an incredible job of making everything remote. Every single person is working from their own home. Like whenever the producer talks to me, I can hear his children like in the background.
Yeah.
um, uh, but it's also been a bit of um a a good way to transition into the role as a host because I'm not in a studio with like big cameras and intimidating lights in my face. I'm here at home in my own desk
Yeah.
with my computer and my own chair and so it's been kind of a good way to transition, I think, and learn the role. But yeah, it's been an experience for sure, and I usually travel so much during the year, and I'm feeling really like really like I don't know what the word for that would be, but
Yeah.
yeah, I miss traveling. I miss like shitty airport food and bleak hotel rooms. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Would you guys travel a lot? I mean, obviously, like BlizzCon's a big thing. Like,
hmm
so what other events, like what other venues would you guys go to for that?
Well, last year it was all Ohio.
Oh,
So I
okay.
lived, yeah, so it's actually ironic. Now we live in Ohio. We moved here because my boyfriend got a job at Esports Engine. So we lived in Colorado. So we would travel to Ohio like four four or five times a year, sometimes like a month at a time for MDI. And then we'd have like the AWC lands, and then we would go to California a lot as well. And then we went to Sydney last year too, which was really
Wow.
cool.
That's sweet.
Yeah, we went to Poland the year before that. Cabin Fever, thank you, Super Uwu. Good. Thank you, Super Uwu. Good mod.
Mm.
Um,
Yep.
so
He's a
yeah,
homie.
just a lot of traveling. And now, yeah, I'm just here in my apartment, and
Just like
yeah,
sitting around, right? Like
yeah, basically.
listening to your producer's kids,
Yep.
you know?
Yeah, but we got a kitten. It's like a great time to raise a kitten. So
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. You have two
yeah,
cats, right?
we do. Yeah, I
Okay.
adopted my other one, Boom. He's like 13. He's not as attention seeking as this one.
Hmm.
He's probably sleeping in their closet. But yeah, he's like 13 now, and this one has been just kind of a bit of a nightmare. But
I remember I was watching the stream the one day when he was chasing his mouse, and I was like,
yeah.
wow, that dude has some energy with him. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but orange cats are the cutest. I feel like
Oh
they're
my
really
god,
great.
he's so cute. Yeah, we
Yeah.
named him after this ski hill that I grew up skiing, Copper Mountain.
Oh,
So,
Colorado.
in Colorado, yeah.
Okay,
So,
very cool.
and it's convenient because he's kind of copper colored and his eyes are copper. So,
Yeah. When I grew up,
good
that's
name.
where everyone would go skiing was Copper Mountain. That
Yeah.
was like
Oh,
the
really?
ticket. Yeah. So,
Yeah, I grew up skiing there.
yeah. That was like the vacation destinations. I grew up in Kansas, so we didn't
Oh
have
god.
no
Oh.
mountains. So,
Okay.
but everyone
The
always
funny
went to
thing,
Copper Mountain. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I have driven through Kansas many times, and
Okay.
my favorite part about crossing the Colorado border into Kansas is there's instantly like Jesus loves you, don't abort your child, like God will save you posters like as soon as you get into Kansas.
Yeah, that's like a strong Mennonite community there. So it's
Oh
like,
man.
yeah, they love the billboards for sure. They will
Yeah.
they will
Just like dead
proclaim it over
baby
a
pictures
billboard. Yep.
5 miles. I'm like, damn, okay, Kansas.
You're not messing around.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I grew up there, so it was like we had no ski hills, so everyone would go.
Right.
I mean, Colorado wasn't far. It was like, 10
No,
10
that's pretty
hours,
close.
9
Yeah.
8 hours,
Do that in
whatever.
the morning. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but everyone always went to Copper Mountain, which is always pretty. I
I'm
never,
so glad.
I actually never went, but I heard it was pretty cool. So
Yeah, most people go to like Vail and stuff. I'm glad people. I'm glad you in your head Copper is the best, though, because it
yeah.
is.
So, but okay, so I mean that's pretty sick though that you get to travel a lot with esports. I mean Sydney, Poland, like that's pretty cool. So
yeah, it's amazing.
yeah, so doing this whole like doing the tier 2, the tier 2 Overwatch and doing World of Warcraft. Have you been kind of following the scene for a long time? Like, do you have, I would say other girl hosts or other commentators, not commentators, but other hosts, in general that you would look up to and be like,
Yeah.
like these are people that I really inspire me and that, help me out when I need help or whatever,
Yeah, so when I don't have any journalism background or anything like that, so I feel like I did a lot of like researching and just like VOD reviews of
Mm-hmm.
other talent in the industry. So as far as other women go, Jess Brohart is huge. She was my first. She was actually. Do you know who that is?
Yeah, she does like Rainbow Six a lot, right?
Yeah, so she used to be the sideline reporter for CDL, or I guess it was CWL at the time, and now
Okay.
she just does freelance. But their studio used to be in the same studio as AWC. So while we were in Ohio, she was actually nice enough to let me sort of shadow her for a day and just like pick her brain.
Yeah.
And I asked like a ton of questions, and she was super nice. So I love Jess Brohart. She's really talented. Frankie is another one. She does CS:GO.
Okay.
Do you know who that is?
I'm not familiar with Frankie, no, but
Okay. You should be. You should go follow her. She's
okay.
great. She's also given me some nice advice, and she said I could message her anytime. Lottie Van Prague. I hope I'm pronouncing her name. I know she's Lottie is kind of what she goes by. Or Fraggy, I think. Lottie.
Okay.
Anyways. She now is the current host for CDL. This is a very long list. You
Take
there's
notes.
Lemon Kiwi. She has been a really good resource as I've sort of transitioned into doing Overwatch as well.
Okay.
Nagura has been an immense resource for me because she's the only other woman doing on camera stuff at the moment for World of Warcraft.
Yeah.
So
And she's great.
yeah.
Big fan of her stream. As well as
I love her to
esports
death.
stuff.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll end it there.
Okay.
I think I got the big ones out of the way.
I came from like a League of Legends background, so I always used to follow Shocks. Have you watched or listened to League of Legends at all?
Shocks?
Yeah, she's from she's from the European LEC is what it's called now. It used to be like your EU LCS.
I know I like am obsessed with Overly. I should have mentioned her.
Oh yeah, she's awesome. Overly May, is that right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, her content's inspired many of my contents.
She's fantastic. I watched her back when she used to work with Travis Gafford, and he did like YouTube content, and she was like she like worked for him,
Yeah.
and would be in all of his videos, and then she got her break with doing LCS hosting and interviews, which is really cool. So
oh my god, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I literally
okay.
forgot the most important person. It's Gillyweed from
Okay.
HOTS. You know who that is?
I don't know.
So when HOTS was a thing, their esports scene, she was a caster, and she was like she was like literally the big reason that I like decided to try and do the talent stuff or the on camera stuff. And I saw her at BlizzCon last year, and I was so creepy. I like went up to her, and no one like HOTS hasn't been around for like a year or something at right now, so no one I think knew who she was, but she was sitting in the Sheraton lobby, like out in the pool area, and she had this puppy, and everyone was coming up to her and asking her to pet the puppy. And I came up to her, I was like, can I talk to you? She's like, oh, I thought you wanted to pet my puppy. I was like, no, I want to talk to you. Like, I idolize you.
That's so funny.
And she was super, super nice. So yeah, Gillyweed. Sorry. I love her.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, I think I got everyone that I wanted to mention.
Cool. I mean, that's like a good list, right? So,
yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's awesome though. I mean, like I always have this idea in my head that if I met somebody famous, like somebody that I really admired, that I would play it cool. But I feel like I would just screw it up. Like I feel like it's inevitable that I would just geek out and I'd just be like, like, oh my God, I worship you, so.
I don't know. That's the first time I think I've gotten nervous meeting someone just because of how much of an inspiration she was for me. And I feel like I'd probably be the same way around like Frankie or someone if I met them IRL. But yeah, I've never had an issue before. I guess, I don't know. It was embarrassing for sure. But, and okay, here's the worst part. I couldn't find my phone and I wanted to get a picture with her.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, we'll just use mine. I'm like, God, that's so freaking embarrassing. She had to like DM it to me on Twitter, and like it was kind of bad lighting, and like both of us looked like crap. And
and that's where you're like stealthily are like, here, just text it to me. Let me put my number in your phone.
I know. I felt like it was a ploy to make her follow me back on Twitter. I was like, I swear to God, I literally don't know where my phone is, and I'm not gonna make you sit here and wait for me to find it.
Yeah, that's funny.
God. Yeah, it's great.
So, okay. I mean, so like, how has the whole, hosting thing been going? Obviously with, I saw that you guys have been doing like, just to talk a little bit more about process, like you guys had to do rehearsals and stuff for that with coronavirus and everything, not to give away all the secrets, but like, how does that work? Like, do you guys sit down and they have like a producer that cues like the topic and stuff, or is it very natural?
It's the same. So it's the same that it would be in a studio. Really, it's a lot of just kind of waiting for during a rehearsal. It's more of a tech check at this point once you kind of get into like your rhythm. So we as talent are kind of just sitting there like twiddling our thumbs waiting to be told what to do. But the producers and the people working behind the scenes are kind of making sure they're synced up with the obs and comms are working, and our video feed from talent and our audio is synced up nicely. And just making sure just like all of the anything tech related that you can think of is like worked out. And then we kind of come in for like 5 minutes and just talk for a little bit, and like that's kind of our rehearsal. But during the live show, it's very similar to what it would be in like a live studio. The producer talks to just me for the most part, and is like, he does a countdown of when our cameras are going to go live, and he'll be like, okay, now we're going to talk about the schedule, now we're going to throw up a graphic of tomorrow, you guys can talk about those stats, or the Ask AWC questions, he'll cue me for those. So he's kind of in my ear, like directing the show. So
cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's neat. Just to talk a little bit more about how the background production of it all works. I mean, that I nerd out over that kind of stuff, so that's interesting to me. But
dude, I'll give you his Twitter. Maybe you can get him on.
Yeah,
super nice guy.
Maybe I'll run into him in a hotel lobby, and he'll have like a cat with him or something. Like I don't know. I just I'll be like, hey, dude, I don't have my phone. Text me this. No. Anyway.
I don't even know what he looks like. So
oh, really?
I haven't met the guy. No, he's new this year for our show. So.
You said he has kids that are just like running around, so he's probably just like some normal dad mode, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're all home. Yeah, he ordered like a pizza the other day. Took a picture of it, sent it to the group.
That's cool though.
Like, here's my pizza that I ordered.
Yeah. That kind of tech stuff, especially with you guys being remote, I could see that being a huge nightmare. Like, I feel like that would be so difficult to run production remotely. So I'm sure they have a
I,
science behind it, but
I can't even begin to imagine. I'm kind of glad that like at least on like the tech side for things like my job is easy
yeah.
in that regard. I just kind of turn my camera on and they do everything else.
Yeah. So, all right, well, let's shift gears here a little bit. Let's talk some about being a girl in the gaming scene.
Sure.
That's kind of like what we were going to talk some about. Let me pull up a tweet here that you actually retweeted, which I thought was really interesting. This is one about Halo. So sorry, this is kind of off the cuff, but this one is about Halo, which the actual tweet is from somebody named Kathleen Forte, who I'm not familiar with her. But she talks about...
I didn't know who that was either, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Okay, so it was like a really interesting study that was done about sexism in video games. A 2015 study found that lower skilled male players of Halo 3 were more hostile towards teammates with a female voice, but behaved more submissively to players with a male voice. Higher skilled players, on the other hand, behaved more positively towards female players. The author argued that male hostility towards female gamers in terms of evolutionary psychology, writing female-initiated disruption of male hierarchy incites hostile behavior from poor performing males who stand to lose the most status. Okay. Which I thought was kind of interesting that, one, this talked a lot about sexism in video games, but also the nature of the kinds of people that are promoting sexism and negativity in video games. And that there's a correlation there between them being not very good at video games. Maybe there's a connection there with their hostility, but who knows for example, but I don't know. Let's talk. So I just want to hear from you about some of your history being a girl content creator, being a girl streamer, being a girl personality in esports. How do you view that? What's some of your experience with that?
So, I mean, that study didn't surprise me at all. It's nice to have like quantitative data now to like express what I feel like I've kind of always known. I don't really play WoW, like competitive WoW, with anybody that I don't know. So I don't really run into a lot of like direct sexism in game. But I can tell you, like in Overwatch, when I queue competitive, the lower ranked I am, the more sexist people tend to be. And when I kind of climb up, it goes down significantly, and people actually talk to me like a human being. So yeah, I've definitely experienced a lot of negativity just based on the fact that I'm a woman. With casting as well, I do get a lot of backlash. A lot of people that think I'm just like a diversity hire, that I like flirted my way into the position. I've seen that comment a few times. People just kind of assuming Nagura gets it as well, and she's like one of the best WoW players in the world. Yeah. People like saying, these people, you don't know, you have no idea what you're talking about. Why is the dishwasher talking?
Just really ridiculous comments.
Yeah.
Just stupid, no brain things that people will say on the internet, right? So
basically,
yeah. I mean, okay, so let's just go ahead and pull up the other tweet, which I told you about, that I found this tweet earlier, but it was basically the context of this tweet was kind of during the whole, there was like a movement there. Should I call it a Me Too movement?
It was like, I think that's appropriate. It was like the gaming community's Me Too movement, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it came out, I know it started a lot with Destiny. There was a huge, Me Too, whatever we want to call it, the whole thing that started there. And then people started coming out within the WoW community talking a lot. And then obviously there's huge Method Josh madness. But, you shared this tweet about what it was like to be a woman on the internet, and that I thought that this was really interesting, that you clipped all of these comments that people would leave you, which I read through some of these, and I won't click on this, but I'll spare everyone else. If they want to go read it, they can find this on your Twitter. But, just some horrific things, like just things that it's like, you clearly would never say that to anybody in person. At least I would hope not, that people wouldn't do that. I think these are more expressions of cowardice. I mean, in my opinion. So, how did you handle that? I felt like you handled it very well by clipping it all. So what inspired that?
I don't know. I have been saving those since college. I have a cringe folder. My stream knows about it. Like some guy will say something like that and somebody in chat will be like, "Well, in the cringe folder, there it goes."
Yeah.
Um initially, so actually I do know what started it. I started saving them around the time that I don't know who made these. Maybe it was like SNL or somebody, like the celebrity reads mean tweet videos. Have you seen
Okay.
those?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
So
Jimmy
I
Kimmel or
was
something, right?
Yeah, maybe it was Jimmy. I'm not sure. But so I was like, I'll make like a Twitch streamer reads mean chat comments
Which is
thing.
actually a genius. That's really
hmm
clever.
Yeah, but then I kind of was like, man, like a lot of these are like just not funny. Like they wouldn't be
Yeah.
funny if I read
Gotcha.
them. Like they're just insidious.
Yeah.
So I kept saving them. I didn't know what to do with them. And then as I got more into my like professional career in esports, I thought it would be like more and more inappropriate to make a video about that, but I still saved them. And then, we were having our Me Too movement or whatever you want to call it, and I was like just thinking about my folder of how it's been sitting there doing nothing since 2015 or whatever. So I was like, I'm just gonna make, I don't know. I just thought I just I opened up Paint, I started screenshotting them and putting them all on the same picture, and I just thought it would be a good time to kind of add to the conversation, I guess, of stuff that I very often see in Twitch chat.
Yeah. I
And
mean,
it blew up. I didn't expect that. Thought
yeah.
maybe like 100 likes, but
I mean, and did you get any backlash from that tweet from anybody? Was anyone like,
um yeah, I had some people being like, "Oh, that's not healthy. Why are you saving these?"
yeah,
Which to that I say, I honestly, it's therapeutic. It makes me feel like I'm kind of getting back at them, because some people will be like, "Wait, why are you saving that? Like, don't
yeah,
save that." But the majority of the backlash that I got, which was I'd say like 10% of their responses, was people being like, "Oh, men get that too." Uh, which of course is just a ridiculous response, because of course men also experience toxicity online, but it's not gender based.
yeah,
So yeah, so I did get backlash, but overwhelmingly I think I saw a lot of support, and surprisingly a lot of people saying stuff like, wow, I had no idea this is what it's like. Now I see a real life example, and I'm really like, you've really made me like change my opinion on this subject,
yeah,
which was really cool to see. I was not expecting that. I thought I was just kind of being like, haha, look at how creepy people are.
yeah.
But I think it was actually more impactful than I expected it to be.
I mean, like you said earlier with that Halo 3 thing about having some quantitative, like this is a real life example of what
Mm-hmm.
women in gaming and what women content creators have to go through, you know. So okay, like I'm going to be a little bit more transparent with like my position on this. Most of the time I don't share my personal views. I just like to talk with people, and I consider myself a humanitarian. Like,
Mm-hmm.
like I don't like the discussion on like feminism or masculinity or whatever, because I feel like it's just so polarized, and I don't look at people or treat people like that. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I'm talking with a person, I don't care about the nuances of their life, or whatever. I see them as a person and I just was raised in an environment where it was like, you treat people with respect, like regardless of the platform or the situation, like I hope that I would, I feel like there were certain options, like when I was growing up and I would become frustrated in gaming or whatever, that I feel like there were certain games that triggered toxicity inside of me where I was being toxic towards people, and it brought out the worst in me. So my response to that was simply to stop playing those games. Like that was literally what I had to do. So I had to stop queuing, solo queue in League of Legends or whatever it was. Like legit, because it would make me rage. Like I'm like, this is not the kind of person that I want to be. I don't feel like it's making me into a better person. Like why would I continue to facilitate activities that bring the worst out in me? So, but that being said, it's kind of like one of those things where when I look at this, like outside looking in, like somebody who hasn't had to go through that, like you said, it's concerning to me to see the fact that people have to experience that and go through that, because I don't feel like anybody should have to experience that kind of harassment in order to just be who they are, in order to just like just be treated with respect. Like that should not be an issue, in my opinion. Like, that should just not be an issue. And unfortunately, that's not the world we live in. But, you know, I see that as concern because, you know, I have a daughter and she loves playing games on her tablet. And I want her to someday, you know, like we talked about how we have parents who instilled in us this passion for video games. I want her to someday feel the freedom to come, you know, and be herself, and, you know, whether that's on Instagram or Twitch or whatever, you know, the streaming platform is on that at the time, and be herself. So, you know, I hope that there are people out there who are courageous enough, you know, to step forward and start having conversations about this, because it's an issue that we need to address, you know.
It's even worse too in like the chat for the tournaments.
Yeah.
Even like by miles.
I'm
considering going to therapy for it.
You mean in, like, when you're hosting? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. It's even worse. Yeah, I mean, I would fill up 5 of those pages in an hour. Of the AWC.
Yeah.
But you know, the good news is, though, for your daughter, is if you're not a public person like I am, you generally avoid a lot of toxicity.
Sure.
And it's way more manageable mentally. So
whereas if you're like in the limelight and you're hosting an event, you know, it can be
really overwhelming. It's mentally it takes a huge toll on me. But luckily I have a really positive and strong support system. Everyone I work with is really supportive. That my co-casters, Enrique, Zico, and Supatis are always really supportive. My boyfriend Ethan is really supportive. Like, he knows what I go through. So yeah.
I mean, I also think that people just don't realize the stress that it takes to do a role like that. Like, I think that, you know, I mean, one, I always think that whenever I hear somebody being super toxic and making comments like that, like, I immediately assume that they're either children or that there's something wrong. You know, there's, like, I'm serious. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's something way wrong for somebody to just immediately go into a chat and just like, okay, like, it's a coward thing to do. Like, you're behind a veil, you know, where you don't have to you know.
I just don't know what they're like. I don't understand what they get out of that, of just being mean to any of us. You know, I'm not the only one that gets shit on.
Sure.
But yeah, no, my favorite comments are the ones where, like, they clearly don't understand what my role as a host is. And they're like, is this girl gonna say anything besides asking 100 questions? She doesn't even commentate on the games during the games. I'm like, you literally just described my role to me in hopes of insulting me. Congratulations.
Like,
you
that's
just
my
described my job.
Right? Yeah.
I get that like all the time. And Rich got it too, and so did Healing Stab when he hosted. It's like, are they gonna say anything of their own? Like, no, my opinion is not relevant here. I'm sitting next to like PvP gods. No one wants to hear what I think of, you know, Raiku's last minute proc on. No, it's like, you know what I mean? It's, you know.
Yeah.
So
your role is to guide the discussion, right?
That is literally my role, and it cracks me up when, you know, people get mad at me for just doing my job.
Yeah.
Like, thank you. You noticed. That's what I am doing. That's what I'm here for.
So, yeah, I mean, it's tough. Like, I just know what it's like to be a person that is out front and has to direct and has to do all that. But it's also just a matter of, you know, you're focused on, you know, hosting and presenting and bringing out the best in discussion and, you know, doing your best to facilitate all that. Not to mention throw in the complication of it not even being in person, but over like a Discord call or whatever. You know, it gets even more complex, and, you know. So
yeah, it's hard too when you're not in this is kind of unrelated, but like when you're not in a studio, it's a little weirder because you can't really feed off of each other. Like, there's not like I can see them, but it's kind of like a little bit delayed. So yeah, there's definitely a bit of chemistry I think that's lost when we're not in person. But
yeah, I mean
that was
kind
my
of
point. Sorry,
what we got to deal with right now, right? I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, and, you know, continuing to move the discussion on how has it been like in your guild and stuff? Because obviously you being in an esports and being a host and dealing with YouTube, chat.
Hmm.
But how's it been like in game and in guild? Have you ever run into that because since you are in the public face, people typically would probably know who you are in game?
Oh, you mean like people recognizing me in game?
Yeah, or even just in a guild, like, or playing with
Mm,
people that you don't know.
so I'm not really in a guild right now. I have like a group of friends that I play WoW with. I'm in a couple of really active like WoW discords, but I'm not in a specific guild.
Okay.
I mean, I'm in the move, I guess. One time for the one time. Um,
Yeah.
but but the one time someone recognized me in game, they're actually really sweet, and I saved it. I
Oh,
actually
really?
saved it in my cringe folder on accident, but it's really sweet. Can I read it to you?
Yeah, yeah, bring it
It's
up.
really, really nice. It just made my day and I saved it. He said, this was in a just LFG. I was doing Mythic Eternal Palace or something like that. He said, hey, congrats on the AWC announcement. You did a great job hosting for us that did the MDI. Looking forward to watching AWC, and a little smiley face. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you. It's nice to me.
Yeah.
But no one else really recognizes me. Occasionally I'll do like a M plus with people, like it'll be like my friends, and they'll kind of like
Okay.
find out who I am and what my role is, but I try not to like, I don't really, but yeah, people are nice to me. What was the question? I guess like,
I
are
just
people being
want
sexist to me? Was that the question? Or
Yeah, like, I mean, in game, I guess the reason that I bring that up is because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like gaming in general is often this boys' club, and then when you find
Mhm.
out somebody's like a girl, that it changes this.
Yeah.
It's like this moment,
Yeah.
and there are times where it's like, especially in guilds, like when you're in a guild and you're raiding with people and they don't know you and they don't know who you are or whatever, and they just
Uh-huh.
say something, and it's like, I don't know, like, I just feel like sometimes there's this culture of negativity or sexism. I don't know
Mhm.
what you want to call it, but where people are just, they say things and they create this culture where it's just not friendly towards women inside of the
Yeah.
game. Like, have you experienced that somewhat?
Yeah, definitely. Nothing personally, at least within WoW, that I feel like I had to like do. I just don't, if I sense that they're not cool with a girl being around, I just kind of dip really quickly.
Yeah.
But like I was actually talking with a friend recently of a guild that I was considering. I was talking with her about her guild, and she said that there are like a couple of people in there that are just that like make her uncomfortable. And I was talking about like, oh well, maybe you should, talk to your guild leader and they can do something about it. And she literally didn't want to speak up because she wanted to continue raiding with them, which I thought was kind of sad. But yeah, for the most part, at least within World of Warcraft specifically, I I do see like the bro fest that you're talking about. Like I'll
Yeah.
hop in voice and people would be like, "Girl," um,
Yeah.
but for me at least, WoW specifically, that's the most I've experienced. But
Mm.
like in Overwatch, it can get bad.
Yeah. I
But
feel
yeah,
like
but
a lot of that.
I have a really close group knit of friends. Close group knit of friends. Was that the right? I have a close
Yeah.
group of friends in WoW, and I don't generally step outside of that realm to a point that they would know that I'm a woman. So,
Yeah. Gotcha.
anyways, sorry, continue.
No, I mean, that's like really, I mean, that's good. Obviously,
Mhm.
that you have that close knit group. I think that's
Yeah,
right.
now I'm
Yeah.
like confusing myself on the term.
Yeah. I think it's close knit group.
Close knit group? I think
Yeah.
that's right.
I
I don't
think
know what
that's
I
right.
said,
Yeah.
but
But yeah, I mean, that's good. Like, it just is interesting, those preconceived notions that we bring into the culture of specifically World of Warcraft. I mean, I think obviously it's going to be really bad, and for whatever reason, the FPS genre as a whole is just horrific. I mean, that's probably the roughest
you
place.
think so?
I think so. I don't know. Is that your experience?
Um, I don't know. I don't really play a lot of like I wouldn't do. Would you consider Overwatch a first person shooter?
Yeah, I mean, it's FPS.
Okay.
It's I mean, yeah. I mean, what
Overwatch is
people?
pretty bad. When I talk in Call of Duty, it doesn't seem too bad.
Okay.
Valorant is pretty bad. I
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
CS:GO. I've had, I guess, a couple of experiences. I'm not like in the community. I don't play it all the time, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I think I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just am like, I just am curious, I mean, and if it doesn't fit, the question, then that's fine. Like, I know specifically within my personal experience, there were a couple guilds that I was in. It's funny because I think there's a lot of girls that do play World of Warcraft, and are fantastic. I mean, fantastic gamers.
Yeah.
So
well, did you know the highest PvP rating ever was a girl?
No, I didn't. That's really, I mean, it doesn't surprise me, but that's really interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, so there was a rogue. I play rogue, by the way. And I just jumped back into the game during BFA, after taking a long break. And, so I came back into the game, and there were some things that I was confused about because there obviously was a lot of changes. So I messaged this rogue in my guild, and, her name is Lirin. Do you know her?
Yeah.
So she's on Twitter, and I didn't realize she was on Twitter.
I see her all the time on Twitter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's super nice, like the nicest person ever.
She seems nice.
So I messaged her, and I didn't even know, I just saw her and was like, one, she was super friendly. She was really good, like really, really good. And I had no idea who she was. I just messaged her because she was in the guild and was like, hey, can I have some rogue tips? And she shared some things with me. And then later I found her on Twitter, and, she just was super friendly, really, really nice, really, great person. But, that was my personal experience of this, this culture that we've created where it's almost like a stigma, like you were talking about within the guilds. And I'm glad that you personally haven't had to experience a large amount of that, but I do know that there are some WoW players who do have to deal with that, where they literally could not tell their guild that they were a girl because they were a main tank. Like I read all these testimonies on Twitter over this whole Me Too thing, and I was like, this should not be happening, like,
no,
like
it's really,
yeah, go ahead.
It's really sad. If you're talking about the situations that we saw, are you talking about the ones with like WoW where they surfaced of like guild people within guilds? And yeah, it makes me wonder at the same time, like, what would have happened if maybe people in the guild were also taking more precautions and like keeping an eye out for their more vulnerable members. But yeah, it's very, very sad and very disheartening that those situations can lead to that.
Yeah. And I think what I'd like to, I think, to kind of close some of the discussion out, we've been talking for a little bit while now, but to kind of close the discussion out some, I think the whole reason why I wanted to, talk some about this particular topic is, one, I feel like you handle it in a really strong way.
Thank you.
Yeah, like I feel like a lot of the tweets and the things that you've said, just show like a healthy distance, as well as just, a bravery and a strength and all of that. But also because I feel like there's just this idea of, I would love to see a culture shift. And I don't know how that happens, but I do think it happens with having conversation, and I personally don't know. I think Twitter is a good start, but I think the next step is probably to move it more towards discussion and more towards people actually stepping forward and promoting culture that is inclusive and that is a place that is safe for everybody. And I think that it requires guilds to step forward and to start making changes with how they handle things. I think it's also a shift in values in terms of not really necessarily caring so much about trying to appease the top end player, but trying to create and promote an atmosphere where that should be more important than appeasing the top end player, So if you get a sexist prick who's a top end player, like, G-kick that guy, because that's not an environment where your guild is going to succeed, like things like that.
Definitely.
So, I mean, I want to hear some from you about what you think people should be doing to help, promote this culture of inclusivity and create a safe space so that current females and girls in gaming, and future girls in gaming, like my daughter, when they grow up and they want to play WoW and they want to be in esports and they want to do these things, are going to find success.
Yeah. I mean, we did the WoW community specifically. I feel like we had 2 weeks of just a huge just I guess impactful couple of weeks with all the stories that came out with Reckful's passing. And I think it really made us look inward as a community and what we were doing and where we went wrong with these stories. And I think as a result, I'm seeing us come together, like the good people come together even stronger. And like I've been added to so many like women sort of safe space discords. I've gotten so closer, like so much closer to a lot of the women that I know in the community, a lot of the LGBT people that I know in the community. And it seems like support systems are a lot more prevalent now. But I wonder still if the people that we really do need to target, like the perpetrators, are actually going to sort of change, like the toxic people, the racist people, the bigoted people. Like, are those people changing, or are we just, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Or like we just like the people that were already like good people and like not really doing anything wrong? Are we just do we just have louder voices now? Which I guess isn't bad as well. But I think like the people on the right side of this are definitely trying to make an impact and like looking at themselves, looking at the community that they're in, the guilds that they're in, and like saying, okay, how can we look out after our more vulnerable members? How can we do better? How can we call out behavior when we see it? How can we like nip this stuff in the bud? My God, my cat is gonna like singe his tail on my candle. And he's like laying next to it. Yeah, so I think just based on, you know, the rhetoric that I've seen within the WoW community on like on really what we can do is just, I think it's been positive for sure after, you know, the two couple of weeks that I was talking about, right? Like it was like a month ago when it was just so hard for everyone, I think.
Because it was real. It was like super real, especially with the whole Reckful thing, you know? God, like that shook me, and I wasn't even like, I haven't even been following Reckful for a long time, you know?
Yeah.
Like
that was
such
really
a heavy time.
Hard. That was I don't think I've ever been that, like, I was in such a dark place during those couple of weeks. Just like I was already, because I had been talking to some of the victims privately throughout that, and then Reckful passed, and it was just like so heavy. And I think as a community, I think we have had a net gain with us trying to make a change and trying to be better in the future. And I really hope it's encouraged the people on the right side of things to have stronger voices and step up when they can see that they can do something. So I think it's good. I think we're moving in the right direction. Clearly, there are still people that are super toxic in the community that need to just be left behind. But overall, I have hope for sure, especially with all the women that are getting into gaming. Maybe it's too late for WoW since it's kind of an older game. But I know with like Fortnite, you know, and Valorant and some of those newer games that are coming out, I would guess that the demographics are a lot more even. Whereas maybe older games like WoW and CS:GO are a little bit more skewed towards the male population. But yeah. Actually, did that answer your question?
No, yeah,
I kind
absolutely.
of rambled for a while.
No, absolutely. Like I feel like that's a lot of really good stuff. You know, and then also, you know, to add to that, I also think there's opportunity for people to, like you said, like create these support groups. I think the interesting point here is that there's always going to be people that are toxic people. Like,
yeah.
That's going to be an issue that will always be there. So I think the goal, you know, that we should be is like doing things like creating like guild leaders taking initiative to create,
which is what I feel like we've seen.
Yes,
I think
create support groups.
Leaders and communities, I think, know now, especially with the method situation, that they have a responsibility to like uphold like good moral values. Because they're going to be the ones that are like they're responsible at this point. Like they need to be the change in the community, and I think that they know that now.
Well, and also just this idea of like, hey, gaming is not just a place where we come together and it is a place where we come together and conquer bosses, but it's not just that. Like it's so much more than that, you know. And so caring about those things, about this is who we are as a community, and viewing your guild not just as a group of gamers who kills bosses, but viewing your community as a community that grows, and a community that has values, and a community where people should be appreciated and respected. And then once that idea and that vision takes root, then you have people within the guild who understand this is not what we're about. And so when that toxicity comes out, it doesn't have to be toxic in response to toxicity. Like toxicity in response just promotes more toxicity. So you don't have to come out and just be like, you can whisper somebody and just say, hey man, you made this comment earlier. I just want you to know that's really not what we're about here. Please try and be respectful. That could come across very sexist. That could come across bigoted. That could come across, racist, whatever. Like, and the reason that I'm bringing a lot of this up is because I often pug. I often play with people who I literally don't know at all. I jump in Discord with people I don't know. I run Mythic Plus with people I don't know all the time. I trialed with a bunch of guilds. For the most part, most of the guilds I've been in have been very positive and very friendly. But I will say some of the Discords and some of the Mythic Plus groups and stuff, like that's where you're going to run into people. I've had to
leave a few Discord groups. Yeah.
Like I'm just like, not going to play with these guys again, like ever again.
Yeah. And I think clearly some of these people get in their own like echo chambers of like them thinking that this behavior is okay, using useless language is okay, and it, like to what you were saying, if say you have this 15-year-old kid, you're in a guild, you grew up so up to this point in the gaming community thinking that like whatever behavior was okay, and then an older member of your guild is like, hey man, like that's not cool, and I think if we can plant those seeds in those kids, then maybe we wouldn't lead to situations that we were reading about on Twitter. Like maybe all it takes is a positive community to like to nurture our our young gamers into becoming good members of the gaming community and society.
Yeah. Agreed, man. It's awesome. Or whoa, man. I don't know.
I do the same thing, dude. I say bro and dude to everyone.
I feel like those have just become terms now. So
man.
So. Well, hey,
I suddenly did it to my trans friend the other day, and I was like, "I'm sorry. I know, but I just do that. I'm so sorry." Like,
yeah.
I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's fine. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show and talking about that and being willing to talk about these difficult issues. I think
someone's got to.
Yeah. I think it's important to start having discussions and talking about that sort of thing. And also, I mean, we're all obviously all excited for Shadowlands. How are you like prepping and like getting ready?
Oh God. I'm so notoriously bad at keeping up with like what's going on. I've just been doing like ICC mount runs in retail, and occasionally logging on to beta. So I just have no idea what's going on. I know that like I saw somebody tweet about like, oh, this is gonna make having an alt way easier, and then I like clicked on the link and it was like a 40-minute video, and I was like, okay, I CBA. I'm just gonna like figure it out when it's released.
40 minutes, dear God.
Yeah, I was like, no. So yeah, no, I mean, I'm excited. I think I would really love to run Night Fae. I just don't know if that's going to be the best for either of the classes that I'd like to play, so we'll see.
Are you playing Demon Hunter? I know you play a lot of Demon Hunter.
I play Demon Hunter now. I've been a Death Knight main since Wrath. Okay. So I might go back, depending on like what it depends. I would like to do both, honestly. I've been lazy. I only have one main right now, so it would be nice to like play a wider variety of classes. But yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what I'm gonna do yet. I'm excited, but
no.
Yeah.
You don't know. What do you main right now? Rogue, right?
I play Rogue, but I also have a Demon Hunter as well. And then I used to play Boomkin a lot, so I might actually go back to Boomkin.
Which are just dead. They're just like a dead class now, aren't they?
Right now
like,
they are. Yeah.
They're not good with anything. Like.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, Mario played it this weekend, I guess. He's pumped, but
yeah. I don't know. We'll see. I'm actually just kind of bored with retail, and I've just been leveling a gnome. I miss playing.
Everybody's bored with retail.
So
I don't know anyone that's like, yeah, everyone's bored with retail.
Everyone stopped the grind for sure.
I've stopped the grind. I do not do keys. I don't cap anything. I haven't opened a box in like 2 months. It's bad.
Yeah.
Maybe less than that, but you get the point.
For sure. So, hey, well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate your time, and it was really nice to meet you and have such a good discussion. So, so I appreciate that, and maybe we can have you back on the show after a while.
Always down.
Cool. Well, hey, thank you so much, and good luck with the rest of AWC. How much of that is left? Do you guys have a couple?
So we have 2 weeks left of the circuit, and then we have 1 week off. Copper, stop it! Not a toy. And then we have the finals of the both regions respectively. Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
So everybody go check that out, and then also, if you're not familiar with your stuff, are you on YouTube?
You know, I am, but I'm really bad at it. I want to do more content, but it's just like EIYA TV, I think. But my main platform is Twitter, I would say. Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok.
Yeah, nice.
Are all EIYA.
Okay.
So yeah.
Cool. So go follow her on EIYA and definitely check her out. So, but again, thank you so much. So.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll see you. Thanks everybody for watching.